The Model 3 is trouncing the competition in sales. Performance Model 3 will be in stores. We have Model 3 leasing info, and a new interior option is coming down the road. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 411 for June 4th, 2018. We begin with the awesome folks at Inside EVs, where they've put out their latest plug-in sales scorecard. And as I predicted on Twitter after the March scorecard, Model 3 has indeed begun to lap the field from a sales perspective. I don't honestly know what G-rated adjective I can really use to describe this beatdown strongly enough, but here's the details. While Inside EVs doesn't have all models of EV in yet, the missing few are not really leading sales contenders in the space anyhow. So, Model 3 beat all other EVs, battery only or otherwise, delivering 6,250 cars in the US in May. This is a more than 2-to-1 advantage over its nearest competitor, the Prius Prime, delivering 2,924 cars. And it should be noted that the Prime is only a plug-in hybrid and a far less expensive vehicle, even fully optioned. It gets even more laughable when you consider only pure battery electric vehicle competition. The closest battery-only vehicle to the Model 3 last month is surprisingly not the Bolt, but the Nissan Leaf, selling 1,576 units, delivering only enough to be beaten 4-to-1 by the market leader in the Model 3. The Bolt tallied 1,125 in May, good for 5th place among EVs. The Model S and Model X also sold strong in May, delivering 1,520 and 1,450 vehicles respectively, and earning 3rd and 4th place among BEVs respectively, and 5th and 6th overall in the space, despite costing on average roughly twice as much as any of their competitors. So, if anyone had any doubt about Tesla demand out there, I'd say there's no reason to doubt the Tesla freight train of demand. We take to Twitter for the final 3 stories of the show, where Elon was at it yet again. Maybe this is a sign that things are going better at the factory, as he's spent a lot more time on Twitter lately. In any case, Trevor from Model 3 Owners Club asked when Canadians could expect to see the Model 3 performance version available for order, and we got a touch more info than even Trev likely expected. Quote, Model 3 performance order page progressively rolling out to reservation holders over the next week or so. It's a really great car. Not saying that lightly. Test drive is a mind warp. Aiming to have these as our first test drive Model 3 cars in stores within 4 to 6 weeks. End quote. So, this is pretty awesome, if not all that surprising, when you consider that Tesla's goal for Model S and Model X was to have only the hottest of the hot as loaners and test drive cars. Since they can do this from the jump with Model 3, it only makes sense. This next story I'm sure will be a big deal to many of you out there, and that's the topic of leasing Model 3. Tesla has until now said absolutely nothing about leasing Model 3, and really with good reason, since it can't deliver enough to folks buying the car outright as is. But many of you out there want to lease the car, and Twitter user @heretic_soul was able to get Elon's attention on the matter. Unfortunately, if you're looking to lease, this is not good news. Elon responded saying, quote, leasing negatively affects Tesla cash flow, so we probably won't offer Model 3 leases for 6 to 9 months. Loan financing is a better deal anyway, as bank conservatism for new car models is very conservative about residual value, but Teslas have always had strong residual value, end quote. So, it looks to be probably 2019 before we'll begin seeing leases available for Model 3, and even then, I wouldn't probably be circling that date on the calendar. With the company looking to prove profitability, and with hundreds of thousands of purchase reservations booked, Tesla won't have much reason to offer a lease for quite a while. Lastly tonight, another one of those questions that get thrown out there seemingly as a throwaway question got noticed and answered by Elon. Elon had begun by lamenting mason jars with handles or wine stems, and Twitter user @rReardonT replied, quote, speaking of wine, when are we going to have the option for red leather in Tesla interiors, end quote. To which Elon responded, quote, next year, end quote. Kudos to those of you that might like that option, but I can't count myself among you. I've seen precious few red interiors that look good, and frankly, I think it's a waste of Tesla's time to implement. The take rate can't possibly be enough to be worth the cost of implementation in my book. You can check out the links to the full stories in the show description. While you're at that, please consider supporting the show financially through Patreon at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. Thanks as always to the super patrons out there supporting the show at the $10 plus level. They are John Waltauer, Drew Schuyler, John Waller, Mark and Sarah Thomas, Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Bruno Quindici, Joey Boots, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Adam Rammer Brown, Megawatt Photovoltaic Development, Todd Sullivan, Robert Healy, Mitch Long, Zortec LED Canada, and Morven Ogg. If you can't support with dollars, be sure to show your love with positive reviews and subscriptions on YouTube, iTunes, and other services across the internet. That's it for today's episode. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits using the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. I'll see everyone back here again tomorrow. Until then, keep it charged and hit the road.